Like every other morning, it began with the light peeping through the silence. I had just rolled the curtains open, and they carried a golden smoothness that made everything appear warmer. I was halfway through getting dressed after crawling out. Of bed, still foggy with sleep when the knock came, 3 short raps, not the kind you give when you're being polite. My hand froze. Something in my chest stirred, an instinct, not fear exactly, but something I didn't expect from someone trying to be both courteous and commanding. Out of reflex, I opened the door while still pulling my sleeves up, and there she was, my mother-in-law. Madeleine Cortell stood with her arms crossed, her head tilted, like a marble statue sculpted in judgment. Her chin alone said she wasn't there to talk. "You have an hour to leave," she said, voice sharp and cold. No emotion, no hesitation. I blinked, jaw hanging open. "If you're not gone by then, I'll have your things on the lawn." There was warmth in her delivery, like a performer who knew her lines too well. She had a flair for theatrics, so I thought maybe, just maybe, she was kidding. "Selina, my wife, surely wouldn't let this stand," I asked. She didn't answer. She just stood there, like a man dropped into a courtroom mid-trial. Madeline didn't even blink. "My daughter doesn't like you anymore," she said. "That's enough in this house." The words shattered something in me, not because I believed them, but because, deep down, I felt it. This wasn't sudden. It had grown like mildew behind wallpaper, quiet, spreading. I didn't yell. I just stood there, stunned. Then I turned back into the room I'd called mine for 3 years. The room I helped paint, decorate, fix when the ceiling leaked. I packed with calm hands, dignity intact, shaky fingers. 2 suitcases with only what I needed. The rest, they could burn for all I cared. Selina didn't come in, not even to say goodbye, not even to offer an explanation. The woman I used to have coffee with every morning was silent. Only her mother's voice echoed in the hallway. When I stepped outside with my luggage, the home I had helped build became just a house again. I walked, past Madeline without turning. She looked like a foreman supervising a garbage pickup. That evening, I found a hotel. Nothing fancy, just a clean room with a bolt on the door, a place where the silence was mine. The ceiling above me didn't leak, but I still stared at it for hours, wondering what went wrong. Was it the late hours at work? The stress about bills? The way I didn't quite belong at Cortell dinner parties? Maybe it wasn't one moment. Maybe it was a slow erosion. Silence mistaken for support. Her mother's whispers that Selina never countered. I floated like a ghost the next few days. Didn't tell my brothers, didn't tell coworkers. I started looking for a short-term rental, somewhere I could think. Almost a week later, the phone rang. I was downtown, far from their guarded suburb. I let it ring for nearly an hour. Pride, curiosity, maybe both. Then I answered. "Why haven't you paid this month's rent?" Madeline snapped. Her voice was just as icy as I remembered. I almost laughed. "You know your name's still on the lease," she added. I said it calmly, too calmly. "That's why I stopped the auto transfer. I figured the residents should pay the bills." "You can't do that." I stood by the window, watching strangers walk by, unaware my life had been stuffed into 2 bags. I replied, "I recall being kicked out. By you." "You broke the lease," she sputtered. I said nothing at first, just let the silence grow heavy. Then I replied, "Vengeance is just a long-awaited sense of boundary. Click. No drama. Just silence again." That call was a fuse. But this time, I didn't hold the grenade. I let them scramble. Through bank accounts and contracts they never read. They thought I'd keep covering the gaps. They wanted me to leave quietly. But I wasn't leaving in silence, and I certainly wasn't paying rent to be erased. I started remembering the signs, Selina's smiles that didn't reach her eyes, her increasing distance, the way she started facing her phone away from me. Girls' nights that became weekend escapes. I didn't know then that stress doesn't speak. It sinks. It festers. The week before Madeline's ambush? It felt like a jury had already ruled against me. Selena barely spoke. Every time I walked in, it felt like I had disrupted something. Even if she was alone, her mother had always been present. Too present. She never liked me, called me blue collar in a silk collar world. I thought she couldn't touch me, but she did. Kicked me out of a house I helped build. Selena had been unemployed for weeks. I carried the weight. Mortgage, groceries, pretending everything was fine. None of that mattered. Not when I didn't come from their world. The night before the eviction, Selena and I sat at opposite ends of the couch. When I asked if she wanted to go out, she muttered, "I'm tired." Never looked up. That was the last real night we shared. She wore a smile I hadn't seen in weeks. While tapping her phone, and I didn't know I was already gone. There was no fight, no drama, just nothing. Madeline delivered the blow, but it was Selena's silence that cut deepest. No protest, no hesitation. She let her mother speak for her. Now, I live in a one-bedroom apartment, leftover furnishings. No framed photos, no monogrammed towels, just white walls and a bed. It's not home, but at least it doesn't lie. I packed only what I needed. Let them keep the rest, their comfort, their illusion. Clarity came fast. I documented everything, removed my name from autopays, froze joint cards, spoke with a lawyer, named the folder Armor, Not Retaliation. Lying awake on that mattress, I wondered how long had I lived next to someone who'd already left me in her heart. Did it start when I missed her art gala? Or when girls' night became escape? I'll never know. Maybe I don't need to. Sometimes closure isn't a slamming door. Sometimes it's realizing you were the only one trying to keep it from creaking open. I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents, not my best friend. I didn't want advice. I wanted silence. My silence. So I worked, nodded at the barista. Answered emails like my life wasn't burning. There's a strength in holding it together, a strange power in restraint. I didn't yell, didn't text in anger, just watched. Watched the utilities stop getting paid. They thought I'd come crawling back. They had no idea how long I'd been keeping everything afloat. Shame isn't for the betrayed. It belongs to those who pick comfort over loyalty. In that rental, I rebuilt. Routine, jog, cook for one, clean the plate, breathe. They thought they could